A leaden dawn draped itself over London as if the city were trying on an iron cloak, the kind of morning when even the lions in Trafalgar Square look half asleep. But anyone lingering near Buckingham Palace could feel the air vibrating, alive with the soft thrum of engines, the clatter of polished shoes on gravel, the faint rustle of crimson tailcoats skimming along shadowed corridors. Inside, a day of precise tradition was about to begin, yet beyond those gates, an unexpected rumor was sprinting through newsrooms faster than a royal courier on horseback. If you think palace ritual moves in predictable beats, stay right where you are. The next 40 minutes will tug that certainty inside out, then leave it dangling over the Thames like a flag in a thunderstorm. Picture the picture gallery first. Tall windows chimed with pale winter light, and the walls glittered with portraits of long-dead monarchs, who still seemed to judge every ceremony from gilt frames. King Charles III, silver hair brushed back, shoulders squarer than they'd appeared during last spring's chemotherapy sessions, strode into that hall with the weight of 7 centuries pressing on his suit's stiff lapels. Investitures are supposed to be the monarchy's easy layups, low drama, high dignity, but one tiny misstep can ripple for years. Charles knows this. He scanned the bowed heads and nodded, a general inspecting his front line of honorees. At the head of the queue, Sir Billy Boston, or rather, Billy Boston until the next 60 seconds granted him a syllable that rewrites passports. A legend forged in mud and floodlights, the Wigan winger, whose 571 tries still read like a mathematics error on the record sheet. His knees creaked as he knelt, arthritis meeting red carpet, and suddenly time itself seemed to slow. Charles raised the sword, paused, leaned forward, and murmured something that microphones couldn't catch. Billy's weather-beaten face flickered, shock, amusement, and then he laughed, one sharp bark that pinged off a row of Van Dyke's. Nobody knows what the king said. Nobody can stop wondering. The riddle capped an honor decades in the earning and lit the first spark of speculation for the day. But the gallery doors hadn't finished rotating. Next came Sadiq Khan, London's third-term mayor, suit impeccable, expression toggling between pride and disbelief. Politics doesn't always fit smoothly inside palace walls, yet here was the sovereign recognizing a Labour stalwart with the same sword that had just tapped a rugby giant. That bipartisan gesture alone would have dominated the evening news, until phones started buzzing with an alert from California. The Invictus Games Foundation had just posted a date, July 10, 2027. Location, Birmingham. Attendance, confirmed, His Royal Highness Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex. And that's when things started to shimmer like heat above asphalt. Imagine being a correspondent on royal duty, camera bag slung over one shoulder, notebook crammed with names of minor dignitaries, and suddenly discovering the prince who walked away from official life is plotting a headline-grabbing return, timed almost to the hour of his father's photogenic triumph. Coincidence? A palace countermove. A Sussex strategy designed to siphon attention. Within minutes, news desks across 3 continents were jamming phone lines, producing live tickers that paired Charles's ceremonial sword with Harry's digital starting pistol. 2 generations. 2 styles of duty. 1 merciless media clock. Back inside, the king pinned the Knight Bachelor badge to Khan's chest. The mayor whispered thanks, but when photographers yelled for a quote he offered 4 enigmatic words, "London stays the course." Was he nodding to the city's stubborn resilience? Or slyly referencing the palace's ability to keep calm under narrative assault? Either way, social feeds seized the phrase and rifled it through dozens of interpretations, each more conspiracy-flavored than the last. Let's slow-roll the Invictus angle for a moment. Birmingham 2027 isn't just another edition of Harry's signature tournament. Insiders say it will unveil winter adaptive sports, para-bobsleigh prototypes in a new dry slope center, ex-military athletes wielding custom curling stones, sled hockey scrimmages in a repurposed exhibition hall. If those plans stick, Invictus graduates from a niche feel-good event to a worldwide innovation lab. Corporate partners have already begun circling. One tech giant offered to underwrite a digital nerve center that live streams biometric data from athletes' wheelchairs directly to a hall of heroics inside the bullring. Translate all that into public relations currency, and Harry's return threatens to flood news feeds for months. Which thrusts Buckingham Palace into a subtle bind. Does the king lean in, sending a show of unity by attending opening night, sharing a handshake that might break the internet? Or does he trust silence and tradition to shield the monarchy from another swirl of family narratives? As of this morning, no royal diary lists a Birmingham appearance. But courtiers quietly confirmed Charles had circled those dates on an internal calendar titled Environmental Commitments Pending. That phrase is palace code: keep options open, control the optics later. Here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Just after noon, a photographer spotted Charles's private secretary slipping an embossed envelope into the Royal Archives desk. Its wax seal bore the cipher, CIIIR, the king's initials. The rumor. Inside, an expression of interest addressed to the Invictus Foundation, requesting early information on security requirements for potential VIP attendees in 2027. If genuine, it suggests the monarch isn't ruling out a cameo. Yet even the existence of such a letter is dynamite. It hands pundits 4 years to debate whether that interest evolves into a definitive RSVP, or evaporates under fresh turbulence. Back on the courtyard steps, Billy Boston emerged clutching his insignia box like a trophy rescued from a storm. Reporters peppered him for the king's whispered line. Billy winked. He remembered a try I scored in '66 against Warrington, he said, before climbing into a royal blue Jaguar. But fans dissected the tape. That wink lingered a beat too long. Was he protecting a more personal royal compliment, something nodding to modern diversity, perhaps, given Billy's role as a pioneering black athlete in a mid-century sport? Theories stacked like pint glasses on Derby Day. Sadiq Khan followed, greeting his waiting family under colonnades where Diana once greeted invested artists. He kissed his mother's cheek, posed for photos, then paused again for one last shot, a handshake with the master of the household. That handshake matters. That official controls invitations to palace garden parties. By evening, newsletter leaks predicted that next summer's Buckingham gatherings will feature, for the first time, a dedicated Invictus segment, athletes mingling with knights, wounded veterans rubbing shoulders with opera divas, every flashbulb uniting 2 royal storylines into one luminous mosaic. If so, 2025's social calendar just became a preview reel for 2027's seismic reunion. But outside these gilded ripples lies the harder question: what does all this mean for the relationship between king and duke? The last time Harry trod palace marble in an official capacity was 2020's Commonwealth Day, an affair remembered less for hymns than for frozen smiles. 4 years later, the monarchy has a new head, the Sussexes have 2 American children, and the rift's contours have carved trenches in public opinion. Will Invictus act as neutral ground, or reopen fault lines? For every optimist citing service that binds generations, there's a skeptic rehashing book deal barbs and Netflix docudramas. The answer may hinge on who attends Birmingham's closing ceremony. If Charles or William appear on that stage, if a single family photo emerges, medals glittering beside Invictus logos, one could argue a détente has begun. If not, headlines will trumpet separate kingdoms 4 years. Meanwhile, let's not ignore the health wildcard. Charles's cancer battle continues quietly. Should treatments intensify, by 2027, the portfolio of high-energy events might pass wholly to William. In that scenario, Invictus could become the first public handshake between William and Harry since the statue unveiling for their mother in 2021. Imagine that, Two brothers who once conquered Afghan sand and Anglesey storms standing together in Birmingham, saluting athletes who mirror their own military milestones, cameras capturing the moment like a closing bracket on a decade's worth of tension. The possibility alone will keep royal watchers awake long after tonight's broadcast. But before we leap ahead 4 years, remember the here and now. A king pushing through chemo fatigue to honor a rugby legend, a mayor clutching a sword-borne title as London's transport lines rumble beyond palace walls, and a prince who swapped ceremonial epaulets for Californian casual yet refuses to let his signature cause fade. 3 men, 3 storylines, 1 royal family straddling heritage and reinvention like a tightrope across 2 continents. So where do you land? Do you see Charles's whispered compliment to Sir Billy as a flourish of empathy, or a calculated Easter egg for the press? Does Khan's knighthood feel like bipartisan bridge building, or a crown's subtle nod to metropolitan power? And do you hear Invictus Birmingham 2027 as a drumbeat of reconciliation, or a clarion call for competing narratives? Let the comment section explode. We'll be mining your theories for future episodes. If today's swirl of sword taps and surprise announcements kept you hooked, show some love with a like. It catapults this analysis into the feeds of fellow royal detectives. Subscribe, smash the bell, do all the algorithmic rituals, because next week we're tracing a quietly scheduled meeting between Catherine, Princess of Wales, and a Hollywood climate philanthropist that might redraw funding maps for Charles's beloved nature reserves. In the House of Windsor, trivial seeming diary items often spark geopolitical aftershocks, and you'll want to see the tremor lines first. Until then, keep scanning those official Instagram grids, watch every Sussex press release for hidden coordinates, and maybe take a stroll near the palace after nightfall. If a single library lamp blazes while all others dim, it could be the king, pen in hand, drafting the invitation that turns 2027 from speculative soap opera into real-time reconciliation. Or perhaps he's writing another private line destined for the next legend's ear, a secret phrase the public will chase for decades. Either way, the monarchy's oldest halls and its most distant rebel have synchronized their clocks today, and the countdown has begun. Stay curious, stay braced, and remember, in royal storytelling, the quietest whisper can echo longer than any coronation fanfare.